What's up? I'm Decon, brand ambassador for Honeycrates. We have some time on one of our rigging days, so I figured I'd try to be helpful. We're gonna make a video going over the 3 different ways that you can rig your Beehive softbox. I'm gonna categorize these by use case. So the most simple use case for an overhead light box is if you just want an overhead soft source that's completely leak-proof. And the most simple way to get that is the gravity configuration. I've gone ahead and laid out the bare essentials to build the Beehive box in the gravity configuration. And the beauty is in the simplicity. These 5 things are all you need to build a working box. We just have 2 standard 8x8 foot frames. Of course, the Beehives come in all different shapes and sizes, so you just need the frames that match your size. For this video, we will be demonstrating each of the configurations with square stock, but it is important to note that you can use speed rail, 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, whatever your preference. Beehive will wrap around it. We have our light source. In our case, we're using a Source Maker blanket light. This is a bi-color LED soft source, and in my humble opinion, this is the best light for the job when it comes to Beehive. Then we have the actual Beehive panel itself, and then we have a diffusion rag. We're using cine cloth, but of course, up to your discretion on what diffusion you want to use. Over here, we have a bunch of rigging. Every single rigging situation is going to be completely different, so don't use this as a definitive rigging tutorial. This is just what we've decided to use. And then over here we have some optional Honeycrates accessories, but I can tell you that in my experience using the Beehive, these are tools you're going to 100% want to have on the truck. This is an 8x8 foot wraparound Honeycrate, and these are all 4 of the solid skirts, or the teasers. The construction of the box will assemble one of the overhead frames. The ears won't be utilized, so we can just slide those off and set them aside. Now, I use webbing loops in the corners to supply a solid spot for our carabiners to attach. If you have corners like these with the struts, it's always a good idea to wrap the webbing loop inside the strut so it doesn't have any opportunity to slide down the rail. Or same idea if you're tying rope directly to the frame. I'll bring the frame to a good working height and add the Source Maker blanket light. If you're using another light source, most likely you're going to have some extra hardware required to attach your light, but for us, we just have to tie it on. Now we can add the rest of the Beehive panels around the frame. Take note of the ends of your panel. One has Velcro on the white side where the other has it on the black side. We want to start with the one that has the Velcro on the black side. We've also found that the fastest and best way to keep it clean while you attach the Beehive panel is to have one person hold and unravel the panel as the other first ties the 4 corners. This will keep it in place and allow you both to go back and finish tying it up. We'll now add our second overhead frame and tie it directly to the Beehive panel. The best way to achieve this is by tying the corners of one side and then tilting it up to tie the others. Here you go. You can clearly see the definition of the Gravity Bee. This bottom frame is fully supported by the Beehive panels, and that's it. There's no rigidity to the corners at all, and this is what makes it the most simple, the most lightweight, and again, you're using just standard grip gear off of any grip truck. Now we're going to start with some of the optional Honeycrates products, starting with the 8x Honeycrate. Real quick, I just want to show you why a wraparound Honeycrate is the perfect choice for use with your Beehive. See, when you tie on your rag, no matter how tight you do it, you're always going to have this gap. And that gap is going to lead to light leak. Of course, the Beehive actually has this little skirt built in to make sure you don't have any light leak. But when it comes to where the rag is, there's always going to be a gap. That's why a wraparound Honeycrate is designed the way that it is. So if you're putting together a gear order for a Beehive, definitely make sure you get a wraparound, or if you're ordering one for your truck for a Beehive, that's the one to get. Now we're going to go ahead and install all 4 of the solid skirts using the integrated Velcro strapping. Adjusting the length of the skirts is actually just as easy as rolling them up thanks to these additional vertical Velcro strips. there you go. That's how you build the Beehive in the gravity configuration. And if all you need is soft, controlled light that is pulling down over your talent and your set, well, this is going to do it. And it's going to do it all day, and it's going to do it beautifully. But of course, I don't know, say maybe you want to tilt the Beehive a little bit, use the Honeycrate, and shoot that light right at your talent and at your set. With the gravity configuration, you can do slight tilts, but if you want to do anything extreme, like I'm pretty sure we're going to need to hit this set, well, we're going to have to go to the rigid configuration. The construction of the rigid configuration is nearly identical to the gravity configuration, but all we have to do is swap out the standard corners for three-way corners and add 2-foot uprights. Now these 2-foot uprights are standard square stock, but this is not a standard piece of gear that most rental houses have. So make sure you check with your rental house, make sure they have the 2-foot uprights to go with the Beehive box, or maybe see if they can cut you some square stock. Important to take note that as of right now, July 2020, if you go to the Honeycrates website and you order yourself a Beehive 8 by 8 foot and smaller, it's going to be the 2-foot depth, and you're going to use 2-foot uprights. If you order 12 by 12 and larger, it's actually going to be the 5-foot depth box, but you're going to use 4-foot uprights. That's what you can get right now, and that's kind of the default. Now, of course, the good people at Honeycrates understand that you might want a different depth box, and they're fully prepared to do custom orders. Just send them a note, and they'll get you taken care of. The best way to build this configuration is to start with building the full square stock framework on the ground, then add your light source, Beehive panel, diffusion, and Honeycrate just like before. Now, when in the air, the 2-foot uprights will keep the box rigid and allow for some really extreme tilts. And there we go. We have a beautiful overhead soft source now with the ability to tilt. But of course, the DP is going to come in and say, I didn't want it right there, I want it over there. You know, it'd be cool if we could have that, but we could have it on rolling stands. Well, guess what? We can. These are the honey sticks from Cine Candy Co. Now, this is just a pre-production version. The real version will look a lot cooler than this, but this bracket allows you to put any depth light box onto any 4-inch grip head. And that basically means you can put it on any rolling stand. So we can take this box and gain the ability to not only have the height and the tilt, but now we can roll it wherever we want. This is a big game changer for studio work. Construction of the Beehive with honey sticks is nearly identical to the rigid configuration, but with the added step of sliding on the honey sticks brackets. Once the box is built, balance between the two stands is very important for ease of tilting, much like a light on a yoke. The blanket light luckily supplies a very even weight distribution within the box, so we're able to just center up our honey sticks to find pretty good balance. If you're using other lights, you may have to play around a little bit to get the balance right. After that, it's as easy as adding your light source and Beehive panel. To lift the Beehive to stands, we found that it's best to lift from the honey sticks themselves and have only one person reach for a stand while the other one holds the box steady. Once the first side is landed, you can both work on landing the other side. Obviously, each additional crew member will make this process smoother and easier, but it is possible with 2 people. Now that it's in the air, you can complete tying and add the diffusion and Honeycrate. There you have it. That's the 3 different ways that you can rig your Beehive light box. I know that everyone's use case is going to be slightly different, and you're going to probably have to use maybe a little bit of different hardware if you're using a different light or you're in a different space. But if you do have any questions on your specific use case, feel free to comment on this video. We'll do our best to get back to those questions, as well as you can reach out to a Honeycrates representative, and they'll do their best to answer your questions and help you configure your light box. If you have any questions about any third-party products, such as the Cine Candy Co. honey sticks, you can reach out to Cine Candy Co. directly, or a Honeycrates representative will do their best to answer your questions. Well, that's all from us this time. I hope that this video is helpful. We'll see you on the next one.